Hey folks, how you doing? This is Wayne S. Pierce for the American Liberty Radio Network, AmericanLibertyRadio.weebly.com. Yeah, kind of like that music. Find all that music on YouTube. This is Stalling, Topher Moore, and Alex Elena. That's Stalling by Topher Moore and Alex Elena. You can find that on YouTube. There you go. This is American Liberty Radio Network, AmericanLibertyRadio.weebly.com. Yeah, folks, that's going on. It's the 21st of July, 2017. So, yeah, oh my God. I just want to take, can we start this day over again? Seriously? I looked in my Keurig drawer and no coffee. I'm like, are you kidding me? So I had to go out to a little place over in the neighborhood here and pick up my coffee. So anyway, sorry for drinking on air, but I need my coffee, man. Give a big shout out to Mr. Tom Slick over at Radio Rock 92.6 The Blitz. Their show, The Morning Brew, is not on yet because he's in the process of trying to find a home. Yes. They moved from Kami, California out to Georgia. They are looking for a house. So if you live in Georgia, anywhere in Georgia, actually, if you live near Marietta or whatever those areas are down there, go email Mr. Tom Slick over at Radio Rock 92.6 The Blitz and let him know if you're an agent or whatever. You can find him on Facebook as well, Radio Rock 92.6 The Blitz. So as soon as they find a house, their show, The Morning Brew, will be back on, and he will grace your presence. Anyway, I was trying to be funny. Not enough coffee to make the brain cells work. So anyway, so go check out the website at 92.6 The Blitz. It is Radio Rock 92.6 The Blitz. Let me tell you the website. It is 926theblitz.rocks. That's ROCKS 926theblitz.rocks. Go check out Mr. Tom Slick. Email him over there if you're a real estate agent there in the Georgia area and let him know what you have. So there you go. Check that out. Breitbart is reporting today, it's the 21st of July, 2017, future of globalization shaken by Trump victory, nationalist, quote, unquote, political earthquakes. Globalism is collapsing as revolution gains momentum. So anytime you see the mainstream propaganda media or anybody telling you that, certain things are happening and, this is wrong and blah, 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 you just tell them to bite you in the ass. So anyway, I gotta drink the coffee before it goes cold, man. It's a caramel macchiato. It's caramel macchiato. Yes. Hey, let me get on with this. This was written by Breitbart on the 21st of July today, 2017. President Donald Trump's 2016 victory and other nationalist quote-unquote political earthquakes have put globalization advocates on the defense while even convincing some economists who once believed in globalization like a religion to change their minds. Nikhil Saville writes, after having attended this year's World Economic Forum in Davos, you had the Bilderberg Group meeting, you had the G20, you had Davos, you have another one coming up here in a few weeks or a week or so. The globalists are trying to get together to try to stop Trump and to try to stop what's happening in America. And I'll tell you why. It's real simple. The United States of America is the last vestige of freedom in the world. We are the shining light on the hill, and people want to stand on it. People want to come here, and people want to make freedom and liberty their banner to live. Unfortunately, the globalists don't want that, and those are the people running Washington, D.C. Trump is slapping them in the face and saying, no, you're not going to do this. At Davos, according to Saville, quote, by all reports, the mood was one of anxiety, defensiveness, and self-reproach, unquote. Quote, the future of economic globalization for which the Davos men and women see themselves as caretakers had been shaken by a series of political earthquakes, unquote. He writes that, quote, in a panel titled Governing Globalization, unquote, the economist Demisa Moyo, quote, otherwise a well-known supporter of free trade, forthrightly asked the audience to accept that, quote, there have been significant losses, unquote, from globalization. It says read more. Put that on American Liberty Radio podcast. Comes down to this, folks. You got to get up off your ass and make something happen. Globalization does not work, never has, never will. What? Yeah, did you know that Adolf Hitler wanted to, through his master architect, Mr. Albert Speer, I believe that's how you pronounce his name, wanted to create Germania, which was a huge technological city at the time. I mean, go look it up. He wanted to do that. He wanted to take over the world. He tried to attack Russia and got his ass kicked. I mean, so, this is one, this is only part of it. Globalization does not work. Never has, never will. Fascism does not work. Never has, never will. Communism never worked. Socialism never worked. Now, of course, you can look at China and Russia and say, well, it's working for them. Yeah, but the people are not free to buy their own homes, to own anything of their own, and have the freedom to do so. They don't have free speech. I mean, you go to China and you exhibit and engage in free speech, they're going to disappear you. No, they're not just going to put you in prison. They're going to disappear you, okay? You're never going to be heard from again, okay? So this is what is happening in the world today, because we have so many psychopaths that want to control the world. And when I'm talking psychopath, you go here, let me give you the definition of psychopath if you don't already know. Go to my go-to site of dictionary.com and psychopath. Okay. A person with a psychopathic personality which manifests as amoral or antisocial behavior, lack of ability to love or establish meaningful personal relationships, extreme how can I say this word? Extreme egocentricities, failure to learn from experience, etc. A person afflicted with a personality disorder characterized by a tendency to commit antisocial and sometimes violent acts and failure to feel guilt for such acts, also called sociopath. There you go. I'm going to put that up on American Liberty Radio podcast for all you guys to take a look at. But anyway, yeah, so there you go. We got a bunch of psychopaths trying to run the world, and they absolutely don't give one rip about you, your free speech, your free property, your what you do, how you. They want to enslave you and make you do what they want. Okay? That's just the way it is. So it is important. It is important to know. Well, let me read this. Let me make my thought and my point out of my thought first. It's important to know what the difference is between, working and having and doing and being and really reveling in that whole, personal, life experience. Because then you appreciate more that you get and you buy it and you appreciate, and there's so many things about that works. And compare that to what the globalists want, which is to enslave you and to create UN Agenda 2030 or sustainable developments or sustainable communities where you don't have sprawling neighborhoods or cities. You have cities that are built in a small area but grow up. Tall buildings, really massive, huge, and a surveillance grid that would outshine what we have now. So, what do you want? That's the key thing. What do you want? Because, if you don't know, then you're in a heap of trouble. WorldNet Daily, 21st July 2017, European nations rebel against EU refugee quotas. Visegrad coalition eyes Italy as possible new ally. As migrants flood Europe from Africa and the Middle East, several countries seeking to protect their sovereignty are rebelling against the European Union's resettlement mandates, and their influence is growing as they announce support for a potential new ally against migration, Italy. I'll go put that one on American Liberty Radio podcast. How many are you seeing the American Liberty Radio podcast in the main feed? Are you seeing it at all? Just want to know. Yeah, so there's that article up on American Liberty Radio podcast. I'm going to change gears here and go and go here. Not like it really matters, but O.J. Simpson is out on parole. So hide your white Broncos. By the way, 23 years ago that happened. 23 years ago, something like that. That his ex-wife, Nicole Brown Simpson, and her friend, Ron Goldman, were murdered. I myself have looked at every single piece of evidence. Well, I shouldn't say every single piece. I'm over-exaggerating. What has been released to the general public through documents and through videos and through all that. What has been released to the general public? I have looked at it. I've heard Mark Furman, one of the detectives that was on the case back then, say that the courts never allowed them to bring additional information and additional evidence to the court. That's what Mark Furman, lead detective, or one of the lead detectives on the case back in 94, 95, said in an interview years later. And that he has information proving for a fact that O.J. Simpson did this, that murdered his ex-wife and her friend. Now you have the other side saying that's not enough information, that's not enough evidence, here's what we have, and you've got the other side doing that, where they say that it was somebody else. It was possibly his friend Al Cowling. It was probably, all of that. And that's why, OJ was in the Bronco driving down a freeway, this kind of thing. And there was blood there was pictures later on that showed blood on the Bronco, blood inside the Bronco, that kind of thing. Little smatters of, splatters of blood and stuff. And the thing is where do I stand on all that? Now, I'm glad he's out of prison, but his life's ruined. because he went and did something stupid like go steal back his memorabilia that somebody said that he said was stolen from him and sold, that kind of thing. So whatever is happening there. But he's been acquitted of the murders of, Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman. So they can't try him again on that. So the Goldman family tried to get him on, wrongful death or whatever the hell it was. I don't think they won at all. I don't know. I think more or less the attorneys won in that case, both those cases. But my personal view was this. With all the evidence that has come out later, like years after the whole situation, and everything that I've seen that has been released to the public, I'm going to say he didn't do it. And somebody would say, well, geez, can't you just look at it? No, I have seen, what was released to the general public, the evidence, the information. I don't think he did it. I don't. That's my feeling on it. I think he was railroaded into this whole, if it was his memorabilia that was stolen from his property and then sold, I think, yes, there's a problem there. And I think he needs to be, not him, but I think that whole situation needs to be investigated a lot more. Because, did he do it? Did he go with a gun into, circumstantial evidence, puts innocent people away. I mean, you can look at the courts now. Do an experiment. Go to the courthouse and say, can I just be a spectator in one of the trials? And if you're allowed to do that, just watch how it unfolds. It's almost exactly like they do it on Law and Order, SVU. I mean, it's almost the same way. The little snippets of courtroom, things that you see on programs like that. Let me tell you something. It's very intimidating to walk into a courtroom. Been there a couple of times, and I'm just like, no, And frankly, I did it not because I was in trouble. I did it because of the fact that I had jury duty, and I think that's a waste of time. I think it should be voluntary. I don't think that people should have jury duty notices mailed out to you. I think that there should be a document that says, do you want to volunteer for jury duty? If you volunteer, then you should be, if you are called to do jury duty here in the United States. I believe you should go and be sequestered for a couple of days, given the information, the preliminary information of the case that you're on, or that you are called to be a juror on. If you are accepted as a juror on that case, you should be sequestered, given the basic primary information and all of that, and then taken into the courtroom on the day that, court is in session. I think it all should be voluntary. It's like, let me say this about, jury duty. If it's mandatory, then let's do this. If the government and your state and your county want to make it mandatory, if the federal government or the state or your county want to make it mandatory that you have jury duty, then let's take all the high school students at 16 and above and sign them up for military service after they get out of high school for 2 years. I agree with Gunny Sergeant R. Lee Ermey, the actor. He was in the Marines. I agree with him. 2 years, man. After high school, send them away, man. 2 years. You want to make men and women out of them? That's how you do it. Now, a lot of people might get pissed off. And then if you don't like that, then let's dump the whole mandatory jury duty thing. Why don't we? There's no reason for it. Let's make it voluntary. Well, then you're going to get crappy people on the jury. No, you're not, because it's still the process of going through accepting people is still going to be there. Just don't make it mandatory that they have to be there in a little tiny room to be called into the courtroom to find out whether or not you're good for a jury. Make it voluntary. Send out a letter saying, we would like you to volunteer for a jury coming up on this. You need to be at the courthouse on this time, and it's voluntary. You don't have to go. But if you choose to go, here's the process and you sign a little thing and send it back to them saying, okay, then they send you out a letter saying be at the courthouse on this date. But if you don't volunteer, if you don't send the thing back, then you don't go. Make it voluntary. But the process to choose jurors should stay the same. But don't send out letters saying you have jury duty. No, screw you. Make it voluntary. That's my view on it. So anybody in America that disagrees with me on that, let me know. Go to American Liberty Radio Podcast on Facebook. American Liberty Podcast on Facebook. And let me know. And because I know in some countries it's mandatory. You go. There's no choosing. There's no sitting in a room and you're going to be. No, you go. They have literal jurors that go every time they're. Boom. That's it. That's what you do. Okay, so no, make it voluntary. Because I think, to me, to take time off from work to go, serve on a jury, that's a waste of my time. I got a family to take care of. I use that as an analogy and as a metaphor because I myself personally, I'm going to tell you right now, I don't have kids, I don't have a family, but I'm looking at the fathers and the mothers out there, and I don't want to speak for them, but the situation is they don't want to take off work to go be on a jury to spend, 4 or 5 hours in a room at the courthouse and then have the bailiff come in and go, okay, you're done. We've chosen our jury. And it's like you're sat there for 4 hours wasting my time that I could have been at work making money. You're an idiot. Make it voluntary. So there you go. But you tell me, go to American Liberty Radio Podcast. Go to American Liberty Radio Podcast on Facebook, and you tell me why that would not work. Go ahead. Tell me why it wouldn't work. Give me the rundown. Crunch the numbers. Give me all of the information you have. American Liberty Radio Podcast on Facebook. Tell me why tell me why what I just told you will not work. Okay? That's all. Little phlegmy stuff going on. Oh my God. Anyway, folks, I'm going to take a break a little early. Probably going to take another one at the bottom of the hour, but phlegm. Okay, just telling you. Just letting you know. I know. Gross. I know. Geez, 21st of July, 2017. This is American Liberty Radio Network. AmericanLibertyRadio.weebly.com.
Late Night in the Midlands is an alternative media that covers the truth, theory, and fact that the lamestream media won't talk about. We cover everything from the known and the unknown, the normal and the paranormal, the government lies and the government ties, and even their thrive. We tell what's coming, what's going, whether it be politics or archaeologists. We have an amazing fan base, and our shows are all archived to be heard millions of times more. So tell your friends, your family, and anybody you care about LateNightInTheMidlands.com. Become a member and be informed.
Growing up terrestrial radio, the future is here. Destroying the liberal media one truth bomb at a time. Independent media is shattering the liberal national security media into a million pieces. Their views of the world are based on the script the government gives them. Independent media seeks out and finds the truth and reports on what is truly going on behind the scenes. Support the truth and facts. Support independent media. Sharing the truth one fact at a time, without all the BS. American Liberty Radio Network. AmericanLibertyRadio.com. Hey folks, how you doing? Welcome back. Hey, guess what? I'll make an executive decision here. I'm not going to go to break in about 3.5 minutes, 3 minutes, 2 minutes, whatever the hell it is. So I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to go to the top of the hour. There's your break for today. Hey, go check out Nick Tucker. His show is on hiatus at this point. Distorted Reality with Nick Tucker. His show is on hiatus at the moment. So when he's back from his vacation, I will let you know, and you can continue listening to his podcast. So he's on hiatus right now, so he's taking a little break. Family. He's got a family. He's got a daughter. He's got a wife. He's got a family. So he's going to take a little hiatus, going to step back from it a little while, take care of his family. You got to do that. You know, any families out there listening to this, any moms and dads out there, your family's important, okay? You know, it's if you are involved in some sort of hobby or some sort of part-time job or something and it's interfering kind of sort of with the family and you don't have a whole lot of time with them, yeah, I would suggest you make some decisions because family is important. You know, it's important for a couple of reasons. One, your kids need you if you have kids, or your wife if you don't have kids. And the other thing is that it helps you basically, believe it or not, men and women, moms and dads, family coming together and being, coming together and supporting one another, that keeps you on track. Believe it or not, it keeps you on track. Whatever it is you want to do, you know. So speaking of doing things and venturing out in other areas of life and creating your own, thing in your life that makes you happy. You know, American Liberty Radio Network came out of that passion of just being able to do something for someone else. That's what it was. And to disseminate the information to people that, number one, didn't know, and number two, didn't have the information. And I'm sure there's other people out there as well, like Alex Jones and Rush Limbaugh and people like that, but they're not getting down to the crux of what is actually happening. Not so much the root, but the little buds that come out of the ground. You know, when you plant stuff, there it is. That's what I'm looking at, and you can continue to water that to make it grow. And that's what I'm doing here at American Liberty Radio Network. So whatever help that you can muster, whatever you want to do to contribute to American Liberty Radio Network, you can do that. I would appreciate that very much. And so would the network. That would be amazing to me if you could do that. Because you can go to AmericanLibertyRadio.weebly.com, go to the sponsors page, and all the information is right there. I mean, banner ads, on-air ads, full production ads, music, effects, everything. You name it, I can do it. If you want to advertise on American Liberty Radio Network, I can do that. And all the information is right there on the sponsors page. AmericanLibertyRadio.weebly.com. Also, if you don't want to do that, if you're not so inclined to advertise on the network, I would like to suggest donating to the network. You can become a patron, or you can donate through PayPal. It's right there on the sponsors page. Just scroll on down, you'll find it. There it is. But yes, AmericanLibertyRadio.weebly.com. Go to the sponsors page. Everything you wanted to know is right there. That is an advertising special I'm running. And this being almost the end of July, that's going to be good till the 1st of September. I want to say February because I'm already thinking well ahead of what I'm going to do. But the 1st of September, that it's not going to go up much higher than what you see there on the website on the sponsors page. Because I'm not out to break your advertising budget, as it says right there. You know, I'm going to keep it so low. I'm going to keep it low. You know, so the 1st of September, those are going to go up just a bit, but not that much. I'm not out to break your budgets. Okay. You go to any radio station, you go to any television station, you go to any place else, and you try to find rates like that. AmericanLibertyRadio.weebly.com. Go to the sponsors page. Everything you want to know about the advertising on the network is right there. And again, like I said, if you don't want to advertise, become a patron or donate through PayPal. There you go. So that's all on you. So I'm just giving you the options on how you can contribute to American Liberty Radio Network. So thank you very much. I appreciate that. Let's get on here to some news. Infowars.com, Mikhail Phelan, 20th, yesterday, 20th of July, 2017. Trump declares ISIS falling fast, that's quote, at Pentagon briefing, quote, "We're doing very well against ISIS," unquote, Trump said, quote, "ISIS is falling fast, very fast," unquote. President Trump declared that ISIS is falling fast prior to his national security briefing at the Pentagon Thursday. Trump asserted to reporters prior to the discussion that the U.S. was making notable progress in the fight against the terror group. The 2-hour meeting, which aimed to cover the state of the world, was attended by numerous senior administration officials, including Vice President Mike Pence, Secretary of State Rex Tillerson, Chairman of Joint Chiefs General Joseph Dunford, and Defense Secretary James Mattis. The president, who recently gave Mattis the authority to control troop levels in Afghanistan, Iraq, and Syria, did decline, however, to reveal the White House's intentions on potential troop increase in Afghanistan. And Trump said, "You'll be hearing," that's a quote from Trump, "Mattis is reported to be considering a plan which an additional 4,000 to 5,000 troops would be sent to Afghanistan, where ISIS has grown over the past several years." Reports also indicated Thursday that Trump has begun to phase out the covert Central Intelligence Agency program aiding so-called rebel fighters in their fight against Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. The Trump administration likewise Wednesday presented the Senate with an update on its progress against ISIS and its plans moving forward. The classified Senate briefing held by Mattis, Tillerson, Dunford came less than 2 weeks after the U.S.-led coalition in Iraq successfully removed ISIS from Mosul. Coalition now intends to focus its efforts on ISIS-held Raqqa in Syria. Trump is now tasked with combating the expansion of ISIS without becoming even further bogged down in the Middle East. That's the whole article, folks, but I'm going to put that up anyway. I have an idea. Let the forces that are already there, not ours, but some of ours maybe, I don't know. Why don't we just let them deal with their bullcrap over there in the Middle East, and let's bring most of our troops home? If we can bring home at least 60% of our men and women from the field, yeah, we'd be a lot better off. Oh, God, yeah. Yep. Here's something that it's a video, but it's Trump dismantling Obama operation to fund radical Islam. Globalist policy of funding radical terrorists finally comes to an end. You know, so some of when Obama was president, he would, fund these organizations like in Syria, but he basically, funded the opposition. Oh, the airdrop for our allies was caught by ISIS, and now they have our weapons. No, he deliberately did that, folks. That's why former President Barack Obama needs to be tracked down, arrested, and held responsible for what he did, period. That's my view. I don't know. I can sit here all day long. I can do a 3-hour show and tell you exactly why I believe, from President Nixon to President Trump, why certain presidents need to be thrown in jail. I know 2 of them right now. That would be Clinton and Obama. Somebody's probably going to say, what about Bush? He didn't do anything bad, or bad enough to warrant having him arrested. He just lied. That's all he did. So, but look what he's doing now. He's doing a lot of, communitarian stuff. Yeah, go look up the word communitarian. Go look up the definition under Agenda 2030 or Agenda 21, whichever name they're using now. Let me put it to you this way. There's a whole lot of things that are happening in our world. Okay? A lot of things happening in our world. Okay? So much so that a lot of people will ignore everything there is. They'll just ignore it. It's so overwhelming, they'll just look at it and go, oh, God, it's so much I don't understand. You don't understand because you're stupid. You don't understand because you don't take the time out to go and learn. Well, I don't want to do that because I don't want to see the negative stuff because I don't want it ruining my day. Your day is already ruined whether you like it or not. That's just the way it is. Unimpressed, Trump sends Pentagon and NSC back to the drawing board on Afghanistan. President Trump, unimpressed by Afghanistan war options presented to him during a White House meeting with his full national security team Wednesday, suggested they may have to go back to the drawing board to craft a strategy that does not mirror the failed ones employed by his predecessors, said an administration official. Yeah, folks. It's on Breitbart.com. I'm putting that up on American Liberty Radio Podcast. So go check that out. Go check out American Liberty Radio Podcast. Go like the page. Go share the page. Go tell people about the page. Go tell people about American Liberty Radio Network. Sharing the truth one fact at a time without all the BS. If you think I'm full of crap, prove it. You can't because you don't have the information that I do. I just saw something here on Breitbart. Michael Vick truly sorry for saying Kaepernick should cut his hair. Like that's news. Give me a freaking break. Oh my God. Breitbart News. After Trump rebuffs McMaster's Afghanistan plan, quote-unquote, senior White House aide fuels Bannon hit piece at Politico. Breitbart News. Politico's Eliana Eliana, sorry, Johnson and Annie Carney write that White House chief strategist and former Breitbart News executive Steve Bannon has, quote, largely disappeared, unquote, from White House policy debates, quote, unquote, doesn't look well, and that President Donald Trump is, quote, giving back to giving Bannon the cold shoulder, unquote. In possibly related news, this story dropped less than 24 hours ago. This is from today, 21st July, 2017. In possibly related news, this story dropped less than 24 hours ago. Trump rejected the National Security Council and Pentagon's military plans for Afghanistan, and the same week that the AP blew up National Security Advisor H.R. McMaster's opposition to Trump's G20 meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin. McMaster is currently on personal travel, quote-unquote, per a spokesman also cited in the Politico story. Isn't it interesting how certain stories relate to certain other stories, how they sometimes, well, I'm going to say it most of the time, don't relate to the actual situation going on? I mean, seriously? So, I don't know. Some stories relate, some don't, is what I'm saying. I just think that people need to think for themselves. This is from Breitbart.com. This is my web browser decides it wants to work. Ben Q, K-E-W, Ben Q, 21st July 2017, anti-socialist protesters rally before Congress for liberation of Venezuela and Cuba. This is in Washington, in our nation's capital. Over 100 people protested outside Congress on Wednesday to call for the liberation of Venezuela and Cuba from socialist rule. The event, which was organized by Victims of Communism Memorial Foundation, I had no idea that existed, was attended by Congresswoman Elena Ross Leitonen, Republican of Florida, as well as somebody else, I can't pronounce their name, the wife of late Cuban dissident Oswaldo Paya, Ophelia Acevedo. Her husband was killed in mysterious circumstances in 2012. So that's going up on American Liberty Radio podcast. Lots of stuff to share, man. Lots of stuff to share, lots of stuff to talk about. And there's that article up there. I don't know. I mean, we look around and we see these things and we can look at everything and we're just going to sit there and allow most of these things to occur. You know, like not taking care of the people of the United States of America. Oh, let me, big news flash here. It's not the government's responsibility to take care of you. It's the government's responsibility when we give them the ability to do so to protect this country against enemies, foreign and domestic. That's their only responsibility. They're not responsible for our health care or whatever. They're not. They're not. They're not responsible for our happiness or for each of us to take care of ourselves. Okay? And a lot of people, well, I'm going to say it. There are people leeching off of the system. Now, there are people, and when I say leeching, I'm talking about those people who play the system, who find loopholes and all of that in the system to get from the government whatever it is they want, and they don't want to work at all. I'll give you a prime example. I'm hearing this and have heard this in the last 6 months as well, is there's mothers out there with 6 or 7 kids, and they're going, why should I work? I'm getting enough from the government. There's mothers out there, 2 or 3 kids, and the government's paying them. Then you have the 60-year-old who is on Social Security disability who has to go get a part-time job because that's not paying the bills, and their part-time job is supplementing their income to be able to pay the rent and the mortgage and get the cat food for the cat. You see what I'm saying? On the other side of that coin, you have people that actually need, some sort of, subsidy, some sort of, plan from the government to be able to take care of them, such as your mom and dad retired or your grandparents retired, or number one on the top of that list, the veterans. And on that note, let me tell you this little side note. I think every single former, every single veteran that has been discharged from the service, I don't care what part of the service you're in, Coast Guard, Navy, Army, it doesn't matter. The Armed Forces of America. Veterans who have been discharged. Everything that they need, from medical, dental to vision, all of it should be absolutely, positively, 100% free. No cost to them, no cost to the government, no cost to the Medicaid, no cost to Medicare, no cost to whatever. It should all be free. I say that because why should I pay my taxes every year for someone to illegally come over to this country to get everything handed to them? That's bullcrap. Every single veteran, I don't care if you've been in 6 months to 6 years to 50 years, it doesn't matter. Every single veteran needs medical, dental, and vision free. And they need mental health free. Because PTSD is nothing to laugh at. People suffer from it from every walk of life. And mainly veterans. Am I wrong? Am I even out of the ballpark on this one? You tell me why I'm wrong. Tell me why our veterans can't get all of their medical, dental, and vision free. Why? Does that mean they're not paying for it? No, no one's paying for it. It's called charity care. If a veteran goes into an emergency room and says, I'm a veteran, here's my card, I'm suffering, all that, the doctor and the hospital should never charge the state, the government, whatever, and they should never charge the veteran. It should be absolutely, positively, 100% free. Okay? A lot of people say, well, that can't be. You can't do that. Why not? I believe retired firemen, retired police officers, retired any law enforcement, any fire protection or firemen or whatever, whatever the political correct term is for them now. I believe all of them should get their medical and dental and vision free. They served you and I. They served their state, their country, their city, their county. Give it to them free. No one charges anyone. It's called charity care. Charity care. Go look it up. Matter of fact, charity care. Startpage.com. Okay? Charity care. I'm going to go to Wikipedia. In the United States, charity care is a health care provided for free or at reduced prices to low-income patients. The percentage of doctors providing charity care dropped from 76% in 1996 to 1997 to 68% in 2004 to 2005. Potential reasons for the decline include changes in physician practice patterns and increasing financial pressures. In 2006, Senate investigators found that many hospitals did not inform patients that charity care was available. Okay? That's in 2006. Okay? They did not let anyone know that charity care was available. Some for-profit hospitals provided as much charity care as some non-profit hospitals. Investigators also found non-profit hospitals charging poor, uninsured patients more than they did patients with health insurance. There needs to be one flat standard across the board. Period. There shouldn't be, well, this hospital in this region and this insurance company and this and that. No. One standard across the board, period. One size fits all. You're poor, you're, out on the streets, you get sick, you go to the hospital. Okay, charity care. Boom, done. You got a place to live? No? Okay. Talk to the Catholic Community Services. Let's see what we can do about setting you up in a place. There you go. I was talking about how the government is not responsible for you living and for taking care of you. This is what I'm talking about. You need to take care of each other. And if you still want the government, Big Brother, to be part of this healthcare system, then you need to make it to where everybody gets everything they need. That's one extreme to the other. Either give it to them for nothing, veterans, law enforcement, whatever, poor people, whatever, people working part-time, whatever. You give it to them at an extremely low cost or absolutely zip, or you cover everybody and raise taxes up to 65 to 75% in America to pay for it. Other countries have taxes upwards to 80% on their people to cover everybody in their health care system. So you tell me, what's better? You crunch the numbers and you tell me the comparison between what minimal cost or no cost at all to covering everybody. 325 million people in America. So you give me the numbers and give me the rundown. Give me the breakdown on certain people from birth to 18 to 24, 24 to 35. Give me the breakdown. American Liberty Radio at USA.com is the email address. American Liberty Radio at USA.com. Go ahead. Got a little homework there for you. Okay? So, I want to hear from you. Okay? I do want to hear from you. All right? Please. Thank you. Appreciate that. I put that on American Liberty Radio podcast. Charity care from Wikipedia. There it is, right there. There you go. I look this stuff up, folks. I don't just sit here and yap my lips and, make sound. I look this stuff up. Anti-socialist protesters rally before Congress for, I already said that, liberation of Venezuela and Cuba. California judge continues to block Trump's sanctuary city order. Isn't that wonderful? We got judges that are just committing treason left and right. This is from Joel B. Pollack, 21st of July, 2017, from Breitbart.com. U.S. District Judge William Orrick III in San Francisco issued a decision Thursday rejecting a request by the Department of Justice to reconsider his April decision to block President Donald Trump's executive order threatening to cut funding from sanctuary cities. After San Francisco and Santa Clara County sued earlier this year, Judge Orrick blocked the order on the grounds that it was too broad. He relied partly on quote-unquote public comments by the President and Attorney General Jeff Sessions in reaching that conclusion. Quote, federal funding that bears no meaningful relationship to immigration enforcement cannot be threatened merely because a jurisdiction chooses an immigration enforcement strategy of which the President disapproves, unquote. That's a long way of saying, yeah. You just can't threaten somebody and hope things go away. You just can't. Okay, there's just no, you can't, no. I just don't, I'm no. The one thing that I found, and I could be completely and totally off base here, the one thing that I found is that most people want a reasonable way of doing things. In other words, they don't want reasonable compromise from their politicians for the people they voted into office. No, what they want is the people want a voice. That's my point. They want a voice. And the voice has to be loud enough to where it's going to drown out the idiocy of the politicians. Problem number one, we don't have voices loud enough to drown out the idiocy of the politicians. Number two, we don't have the politicians willing to listen to the people. Okay? Now, onward and upward, as I look at the time here. What we need to do is we need to examine and discuss everything there is. And we need to come to some sort of happy medium. And we need to, find ourselves a place where we can stand and just say, we need to discuss these things. We need to discuss homelessness in major cities. We need to discuss healthcare system. We need to discuss education. We need to discuss Common Core and all of that. We need to discuss UN Agenda 21-2030 sustainable development in your city. We need to discuss this. And if your politicians, your city council, your county board of supervisors looks at you and says, oh, that's nothing but a conspiracy theory, you better have the ammo, the informational ammunition to force them to see it and to make the changes necessary for the sake of the citizens of the United States or your county or your city. If you cannot do that, if you cannot stand up for what is right in America, and what is right is peace, freedom, liberty, and security, and those principles by which we live, if you cannot stand up for that, you might as well just renounce your citizenship and go to Russia or China or Venezuela or some other country that suits your political ideologies. No, I'm serious. A lot of people laugh at me and, well, you can't tell people just to, leave the country. Yeah, I can. I can say whatever the hell I want. And frankly, some of my most liberal friends, we can sit down and have coffee and discuss these things and walk away and still be friends. But there are groups of people out there that don't want to even discuss it. In other words, they'll look at me, they'll look at Nick Tucker, they'll look at Brian Lang and try to shut down our free speech and try to shut down our, subject matter and try to get us banned from Facebook and YouTube and all of that. Mark Dice has his videos taken down on almost a regular basis because Google and YouTube don't like what he says. That's censorship right there. That's against the law. But there are people out there that want to do that to everybody. And they want their words to be the only words that everyone hears. And they don't want any opposition to it. Now, you could say that about me, too. I want people to hear me, but I'm more reasonable. I'll sit down with you with a cup of coffee and discuss things with you. And we'll, hey, I'll buy your coffee. We can discuss, Venezuela and what socialism does to ruin countries and all that. We can do that. I don't know, folks. It's just... It's the end of the show. It's the end of the podcast. This is American Liberty Radio Network. American Liberty Radio on Spreaker. AmericanLibertyRadio.weebly.com. Sharing the truth one fact at a time without all the BS.